The different card types. Units are your brave soldiers who want to save your buildings from destruction and destroy those of your opponent. Only one unit per row can be played on your side, unless one unit has assistance. Then a second unit can be placed per row. Tokens are created by tricks or abilities. They are not mixed into the building. These are available to all players and have no presence, so cannot be moved with a change of tactics by the player. A token is put back on the separate pile if it is destroyed. Tokens that must be taken back into the hand can be kept in your hand and played again for their cost. The cards of the Horde are needed if you play the game alone. The Horde represents the attacker. They have no costs and presence. Instead, they have the affiliation, top left, and a game phase, center left. The game phase defines in which third of the building the card is shuffled into it. Units that are destroyed are placed in the graveyard. If one of these units have to be taken back to hand, it will be placed face up on the building instead. Are unique effects that affect the game. These are placed in the graveyard after they have been played, or under a unit if these changed values or abilities of it. They remain on the unit until it leaves the game or the trick reaches its time limit. The event cards form the calendar. At the end of each day, the top card of the calendar is revealed. Depending on the symbol in the upper left, the effect occurs immediately, or is valid for the whole next day. The effect of this card applies to the entire following day until the next event is revealed. The effect is executed immediately. This is followed by a normal day without effects. Each building consists of 12 cards. Each damage dealt to the building by units and tricks reduce the number of cards by 1 card each. These reduced cards are placed on the ruin with the back upwards. It is not allowed to look what cards are removed. If there are no more cards on a building, it is destroyed and the negative effect of the building comes into effect. The vault is a special building that both players have. Each player selects any 3 cards from their chosen buildings during game preparation and places them face down on it in any order. Each time a player could draw a card, the player may pay 2 supply points to draw a card from the vault instead. Nothing can deal damage to the vault. Setting up a game. The players determine who is the attacker and who is the defender. This role you have through the whole game. After that, each player alternates, starting with the defender, selects one of the 3 buildings representing his army, and places his 12 corresponding cards face down on top of it. The coat of arms remains visible. In addition, each player takes one of the vaults and puts their 3 chosen cards on top of it, in any order. The vault is to the left of the defender, and opposite is the vault of the attacker, on his right side. Buildings are placed here. The vault, here. Cards that got removed from the buildings get placed face down on the ruin. Defeated units and used tricks are placed on the graveyard. Units are placed in one of the rows in front of your buildings. The calendar and its cards should be visible for both players. The day counter and both players supply points to get placed here. Turn order and day cycle. In this game, a turn is called a day. Each day gets counted with a die. A new day starts. All players get their supply points and abilities trigger. The amount of points each player gets is equal to the day counter. The game starts with day 1 and the calendar card is a normal day. The defender starts the day with drawing up to 2 cards and playing his units. Then, the attacker draws up to 2 cards, plays his units, plays his tricks, and can do a change of tactics. Now the defender plays his tricks and can do a change of tactics. When the defender finished his phase, the combat preparation starts. Abilities trigger and clocked units get revealed. This happens in a set order, starting with the attacker and ending with the defender. From the defender's point of view, the fights are carried out from left to right. All units in the row deal the damage at the same time. If there is more than one unit on one side, its strength is added together, and only the front unit receives the damage. This will then be repeated for each additional row. Abilities trigger again, and the next calendar card gets revealed. After that, each player counts his buildings. A player with no normal buildings loses the game. Also, unused supply points get lost, and players discard cards that exceed the maximum card amount in hand. This limit is determined by the amount of buildings you have, plus 3. A new day starts again. Additional rules. To start a solo game, you need 3 buildings of the Horde. Then you sort each of these buildings in 3 piles. Each pile is made out of 4 cards with the same game phase. Shuffle these 3 small piles and stack them on each other. Then place them with the building in a row of the attacker. You also choose your 3 buildings and the vault cards to fight against the Horde. You can use the vault as usual, but not play any units in that row. Now you reveal the top cards of the Horde. The usual day cycle starts now. Draw your cards and play your units. When the defender finishes playing his units, the top cards of the Horde get placed in front of the buildings. The abilities of the Horde cards trigger. After that, the defender can play his tricks. Combat preparation and combat happens, and at the end of the day, the next calendar card gets revealed. At the start of the next day, reveal the next cards of the Horde. Good luck. Abilities. Change of tactics. This ability stands on cards and is also available to every player during the phases in which they can use tricks. Move a unit to another possible row or position. To use this ability without a card, the player has to pay 1 plus the presence of the unit. 2 units can also be exchanged with each other, whereby the change of tactics costs has to be paid for both units. This is the list of the other single-word abilities. To read them all, please stop the video now. Each building can be modified to fulfill a more specific role or strategy. You can replace each card with another one from the same building type. The only rules are, a card can be a maximum of 3 times in a building. A building always has 12 cards in it. The total amount of presence in one building can't be more than 20. This is the list of the other common questions not covered by this tutorial. To read them all, please stop the video now. For any other questions or cooperations, DM me on Instagram at AND_TGOK or send a mail to information.aandd@gmail.com.